What I am getting is your self-confidence was high at that moment.
Yeah.
So where did you get that from?
I think it's natural. I don't think that the confidence I had was anything that I can attribute to myself. I think naturally, maybe if I go down the road and look at the people that have come from my family, I'll find a few guys who I can say were quite confident in themselves, or maybe it was the upbringing and the circles that I grew up in. Because most of the places I have gone to, I've always ended up somehow, even in the bad rings, in the leadership circle, sort of. So maybe it's an inbuilt thing. You know, one of those things that we say we needed to be able to cultivate to make into better decision making that we didn't.
So maybe just take us a brief through now your life in the US. Now once in January you've joined the school, how was your experience in the school? And
So I joined the school. I like the school. It's winter, lots of snow, very cold, didn't like the weather. I was quite homesick for a while because I didn't have a job. And then finally, I started getting jobs. So I worked so many different jobs. I worked at a factory, you know, doing boxing of stuff. I've driven forklifts, you know, I've worked in a truck company, washing trucks, you know. I've worked in a mint, counting coins.
You're open to doing any job?
Open. I did all that until one day I got what I thought was the ultimate job. It was the Coca-Cola company, Mid-America.
In the US?
In the US. They
Were you
advertised.
working all this time? Do you have a student? Are you allowed to work as a student?
No. What used to happen was you'd get there, and then because you're not allowed to work and you have this social security card that says not allowed to work, you would have the stamp manufactured or removed. They make another social security card without that stamp. And then now you can work. Yeah? And unlike now, you know, now they're very strict. They even check up schools, blah, and all that. Those days, so long as you could produce it, you were able to work. And even you would claim American citizenship and not have to make proof of it, you know, for some of those jobs. Which is how I ended up working for this company, company at Coke, because I just ticked I was an American, I was applying for a job. They wanted somebody who could do territorial sales, and boom, I got the job. And that job came with a company van, it came with a, you know, unlimited fuel card.
How long is that after you joined the school?
Maybe 7 months or so. I mean, my second semester.
Oh, that was quick. How long was the school program for?
4 years.
4 years. So
4
already
years.
in the second semester.
So the second semester,
you're already working for Coke.
I'm already working for Coke, and it's a really good job. Eh?
Yeah, if you're getting a van.
Yeah.
Okay, that's,
I'm even making more
that's
money.
your undergrad.
I'm making more money than my sister at that moment in time.
And that's a degree you're going to do.
That's a degree I'm going to do. But now this job required that I work full time.
Yeah, because I'm wondering. Yeah.
So what did I do?
You quit.
I quit. Yeah.
But once you quit, then
See, I asked myself, here was the maths. I told myself, see, we come to the US to make money.
And at this time, you're going on scholarship.
No, I was not on a scholarship.
Who was paying for you?
What was happening in those days was you have this harambe.
Yeah.
That harambe pays for like your first semester.
Okay.
When you get to school, you're supposed to now carry yourself.
Oh.
People had done that. I mean, I wasn't going to be the first person. Kenyans had done that, Africans since time immemorial. You go there, you get jobs, you do all kinds of menial work. You keep yourself in school and you sustain yourself.
Okay.
Even sometimes you sustain the people back home. Yeah.
So now you're working for Coca-Cola, you quit your... How long do you work at Coca-Cola for?
I worked at Coca-Cola for a year. Almost a year and a half before trouble came.
Making good money.
Making good money, getting out of school, but now doing all manner of things. Now, you know, I have realized the potential of money. I've come to myself. I'm even living in my own house. I moved away from my sister. I am, you know, growing dreadlocks, piercing my ears, both ears.
Gosh. You have those pictures. We can insert them here.
I'm getting tattoos.
Insert pictures here. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think I have one or two. As I look, I think on Facebook, yeah. Because, you know, at the end of this story, I lost a lot of things. But
so after now you're in Coca-Cola 1.5 years, you're now living the life.
I'm living the life. I'm going to parties, until one day there was a directive at Coca-Cola, which I suspect was done by, you know, sometimes we used to have those things where somebody calls on you.
Yeah. Whistle blowing.
Somebody calls, and it's usually one of your own.
Yeah.
They call and say, this guy, in his application is written he's a US citizen. He's not. You know. So somebody called. So the company asked me to produce evidence of my citizenship, which I couldn't do because I had, that was not the case on the application. So I chose to drop out of that, to quit. I returned the company van one day. I told them I'm going home to get the stuff, faked some sort of emergency, went home, packed all my stuff into my car and moved out of state. Because that was a very serious thing, because I hadn't been in school. It had brought me in direct problems with the immigration for the violation of my visa, for not going and staying in school on a student visa. So I moved to Atlanta. I stayed with a friend there for some time, maybe 6 or 7 months. Then I moved to Chicago eventually. And the years are rolling. By this time, I'm almost 4 years in.
And what are you doing? When
all kinds of jobs.
At that time, now you're just.
I've now worked in gas stations. I've worked in, jobs were so easy to find.
Yeah. Paid by hour.
Eventually, I'm even trucking now. I'm driving trucks, until this one point I started working for the Motorola company in a factory in Chicago. And this company, and at the same time I was working for the Chicago Tribune, a newspaper, by the way, which now brought me my first real
media related
dabbling with the media. Because they tasked me to do, stories about Africa, which they didn't really publish because they sent it to another editor, who then would embellish it and get something. So it wasn't really your story, because you're too small to have your name on the newspaper. But it paid a bit of money, and the hours were few. Then I was balancing them with the hours at Motorola.
That means you're ready to, because that's also interesting.
Yeah.
Like for most people who go there to the US, I don't think they're open to doing everything and to survive. Like for you, it seems like you're already, like there's no time
There's no time I was unemployed.
Yeah.
No.
You're
the
willing to work.
fight for survival cannot let you stay unemployed. And
So was it the fight?
And I didn't come from parentage that was moneyed. So it wasn't like my parents were able to send me upkeep. Some people would be sent upkeep and then they wouldn't work.
But at this time, your parents know you're in school.
They know I'm in school.
Yeah. Your sister?
I keep calling my sister. Of course, she knows the story. But my sister has my back.
Yeah. So you.
And I'm telling myself, I'll get back to school eventually.
Had you now applied to get a green card or something?
No, I've not even applied to get a green card. But I tried to join the US Army.
Okay. They didn't accept you?
They did accept me. That time they said they were not recruiting. But had I applied a year later, just before the Iraq War,
Could have been taken.
I would have entered. Just my typing, because I think I applied in the year 2000. Alafu, unajua 2001, now there was September 11th.
Yeah.
In 2002, they were getting, people in droves into the army. But by then, I was already having a problem. In 2002.
So when did the problem start?
The problem started with a DUI. I got a DUI in 2002. And it's a driving under the influence charge. It took me to court. I had to do community service, and then I had to pay for the thing. And then that sobered me for a while. So I began looking for, this is how I ended up now in Chicago. And I ended up looking for now jobs, more serious jobs. And I started thinking about now going back to school, getting my paperwork together, all that stuff. In between, of course, you've dated a lot of people, Americans, Kenyans, and you've not been able to reach a point where some people would marry for the paperwork, for the citizenship and stuff. But personally, I had a huge fear about getting married and saying my vows when I didn't mean them. And I think that's part of the thing about growing up in a Christian home. There's some things we do not know we have implanted.
Yeah.
They've been implanted in us until we are at a place where we're in the wilderness, sort of, and they kind of remind us, no, you can't do this,
So the values that your parents maybe unknowingly put into you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I ended up just staying like that. So when I lost my job in that Motorola company, I now wanted to move back to Kansas. I called my sister. We had a discussion about it. I told her I want to go back. I want to go and start life anew. Maybe get back into school. Blah blah blah. And then I put all my stuff in the car and I wanted to drive back to Kansas. And then that's when my troubles hit me.